Back in the early 90s, BMW had a flagship coupe and convertible in America called the 8 Series. Now back then it was available with either a V8 or V12 powertrain, and it was supposed to be at the top of the BMW portfolio within their model line hierarchy. A lot of enthusiasts really aspired to own one of these things because of its just classic design and powerful engines. Now fast forward about 20 years and I'm standing by the all-new 2020 M850i. This is an all-new version of the 8 Series, replacing the 6 Series within BMW's lineup. But today I'm actually just outside of Spartanburg, South Carolina at their BMW assembly plant with this 2020 M850i. And it's slightly different versus the coupe and convertible because this is the all-new Gran Coupe body style. Basically a four-door version stretched by about 9 inches to give you more space in the back seat. So now that the 8 Series is back, the big question I want answered, after a 23-year hiatus here in America, has BMW finally returned the 8 Series to its former glory? That's what we're here to find out. Here at Redline Reviews, we often try to avoid too much sponsored content, but every now and then we get approached by a good company with an even better product, which is why today's video is being sponsored and approved by Manscaped. For the upcoming holiday season, treat that special guy in your life to the Perfect Package 2.0, which includes their most advanced Lawnmower 2.0 trimmer. This sleek little below-the-neck trimmer is waterproof and built with a skin-safe technology to prevent snags and nicks. When recharged, it'll last up to 60 minutes and trims your hairs quietly and comes with a replaceable ceramic head. It's the perfect little gift to help keep your man trimmed, cut-free, and smelling nice down there. His balls will thank you, his jingle bell will rock. Well, you get the picture. He'll have the confidence to take on whatever the world throws at him. For a limited time only, you can get 20% off your order plus 2 free gifts when you use the code word Redline20 at manscaped.com or just follow the link in the description below. So as one of the sexiest new sedans in the BMW lineup, you better believe that the company stuffed some of their best engines underneath the engine bay. Remember, this is known as Bavarian Motor Works. And this M850i has the motor that most of you are probably going to want in an 8 Series. There is a base 840i with a turbocharged 6-cylinder, but this V8 powered M850i is essentially a full-on M model with a little bit less power. It's a 4.4 liter twin turbocharged V8. It's a hot V configuration, so the turbos are nestled within the actual bank angle to help mitigate the lag. And in this application, it makes 523 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers make this car will accelerate to 60, BMW says, in about 3.6 seconds. And honestly, when we get out behind the wheel, it feels even faster than BMW's claims would suggest. Now there is actually a full-on M version available as well. The M8 Gran Coupe is not out yet, but it will be out soon. That makes about 600 horsepower in the base M8 and 617 horsepower in the competition model. So nearly 100 more horsepower than this, but I assure you, this one has plenty of performance as it is. Now there is no manual transmission available. BMW is unfortunately shying away from that. All of them will come standard with an 8-speed ZF Source automatic with some of the quickest shifts in the industry from a torque converter automatic. BMW says fuel economy also isn't even that bad considering the power output of this. It's rated at 17 in the city and 25 on the highway. This particular one here weighs around 4,300 pounds. So when the 8 Series was introduced last year, it really was the start of BMW addressing the criticism about their somewhat boring design language. This is a car that instantly turns a lot of heads because it's recognizable as a BMW, but you can tell the brand is trying to make the image of the car a little bit more substantial. They're trying to make it look a little bit newer compared to all their previous stale designs, which is starting to look kind of the same. Now, as you can see, with this M850i, you have the trademark BMW design characteristics here, the twin kidney grills, which are painted in a dark satin chrome finish, the full LED headlights, which are standard. This one here has the optional adaptive laser light headlight technology that you get as part of the executive package on the lower trims. This one also has the M carbon fiber exterior package. So there's genuine carbon fiber in the lower fascia on this lower air intake over here. The M850i comes with basically the M Sport package, so you have more aggressive front air dams, which are all functional. It's a very gorgeous looking car. If you guys thought the 6 Series Gran Coupe was beautiful, this is even better looking. Remember, this car is going to compete with things like the AMG GT 4-door or the upcoming Audi RS7 and Audi S7, which is also in its new generation. Now, from the front to about the A-pillar, the coupe and the convertible share basically the same parts. From there on, the Gran Coupe has its own unique look because BMW had to stretch the proportions out, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Now, this particular one here has an upgraded wheel. It's a 20-inch wheel design with staggered width tires, 245s in the front, 275s at the back. Remember, there's also a full-on M version that will have even fatter tires. The M-specific sport brakes, as you can see, massive 15-inch rotors nearly with a 4-piston caliper with the signature blue paint. It's just a really nice looking car, although I will admit that on the body lines of the 8 Series, the wheels look like they are a little bit small. You could go to a 21, maybe even a 22-inch wheel to help fill out the wheel wells a little bit more. Now, looking at the rest of the profile, oh my God, this is one gorgeous looking sedan. Now, first of all, that panoramic sunroof is standard on the M850i, so thank God BMW doesn't charge you extra. That carbon fiber exterior package also includes a carbon fiber mirror cap, which looks phenomenal in this alpine or mineral white metallic exterior color. The interior with that black, which I'll talk about in just a moment. And you can see here, they've stretched the car a lot. The wheelbase is now 119 inches long. It's about 6 inches or 7 inches longer than the coupe and convertible. At an overall length of just over 200 inches long, this is about 9 inches longer than the coupe and the convertible. It's about 3 inches longer than the old 6 Series Gran Coupe, but still about 7 inches shorter than a long wheelbase 7 Series, which is the only way you can get this car. So even though this is above the 7 Series in number, it's not technically bigger. Now at the back, again, the design is gorgeous. Love the way the roof kind of tailors back. You have this beautiful looking contoured trunk lid here with an integrated spoiler, these full LED tail lights, the satin chrome finish for the actual badging. The xDrive again comes standard, so this is all-wheel drive. And then down here, as part of that carbon fiber exterior package, you have a carbon fiber rear underbody spoiler, and then these integrated exhausts, which the pipes aren't actually connected to this little piece here. This is the V8, so I'll let you guys hear what the engine sounds like real quick. In typical BMW, the 8-cylinder makes really nice noises, a lot of crackles and pops. I can't wait to drive this thing. My only deteriorating factor about this rear area is the fake vents that you get just over here on the sides below the rear taillight reflector. I think BMW could have gone away with the fake vents, but again, they were just trying to add a little bit more detail. Now, you might think that this is actually a hatchback or sportback, but it's not. The 8 Series is actually a conventional sedan, which I don't know why BMW decided to do that. Maybe it has to do with the proportions of this car. I mean, if they did a sportback, it would look a little bit different at the back. So this has a more, slammed down look. Now, back here, when you look at the trunk area, the Gran Coupe has a little bit more space versus the coupe and the sedan. You're looking at around 15 cubic feet of space. That's only about 2 cubic feet more. This is actually a smaller trunk still than BMW's own 3 Series. They're, smallest sedan at the moment, but this is still a very usable amount of space. The seats fold down in a 40-20-40 manner, and then there's no spare tire. BMW typically will equip their cars with fix-a-flat kits or run-flat tires. All right, so the exterior is gorgeous. You guys heard me say that multiple times, but you're going to be spending most of your time in the interior of this new M850i. So stepping into the interior, let's shut the door. It has a very nice solid sounding thunk, which again adds to the level of quality for this vehicle. Now, it has a very typical BMW design, but it's slightly different than the last ones that I've been seeing earlier today. To start the vehicle up, you guys know how to do this again. My tester has the intelligent access key, push button start. It is standard. This is the current BMW key fob. It also has the beautiful glass controls, so the crystal shift here, the crystal button here, put your foot on the brake. And the vehicle starts right up for you. It has a nice muted understated growl because remember, this is the V8 when you put it into Sport Plus. Yeah, I'm looking forward to driving this baby. So looking at the rest of this cabin, you can see my tester has the upgraded blue and black merino full leather. You can see the entire interior is basically stitched in leather. It also has the upcharged $3,400 Bowers & Wilkins premium sound system, which also sounds phenomenal. You have these metal speaker covers on the door panels. There's several speakers in here. I believe it's like 18 speakers, so it's a really nice sounding sound system. And for $3,500, it's actually not as expensive as it could be. Now, looking at the rest of this cabin, you can see, as I said, leather on the door panels, leather on the dash. The steering wheel is a really nice, typical BMW wheel. It's a fat rim. It's got paddle shifters. It's got all your typical buttons. It's got a heated steering wheel. And then the steering wheel itself is power tilt and telescoping, which is what you expect. It has the latest version of BMW's iDrive system. So this is iDrive 7.0. You have a 10-inch display over here, which is also a touchscreen. You control it from the iDrive controller. And then you have their Live Cockpit Professional, a 12-inch display over here in the instrument panel, which I've said it before, I'll say it again. The Live Cockpit Professional needs a little bit more beefed up in terms of graphics. It needs to be beefed up because you can't really adjust the screen as much as you can like in the Mercedes, or adjust the way the actual digital displays look like you can in the Audi. So I would like to see BMW eventually update that. This also comes with wireless Apple CarPlay. Sadly, no Android Auto still. BMW makes you pay a subscription service for the Apple CarPlay for like $100 a year, or $400 for like 4 years or 5 years, something like that. There are still a lot of traditional hard buttons in here in typical BMW fashion. Your dual zone climate control is over here with this little helper screen. You have your volume knob over here, your radio presets and whatnot, your tune button over here. There's a wireless phone charger. And then your cup holders over here. You can close this up if you don't want to show up what's in your storage area over here. Now, putting the vehicle into reverse, you can see full 360 camera that my tester has with their backup assistant, which supposedly will remember how you pulled into a tight space and then help you back out of that tight space. Really great camera resolution. It's one of the best in the industry. Basically what you expect when you purchase a BMW. Now, going to the rest of this infotainment system here, I've shown you guys what this is like to use before, so I'm not going to go too much into detail with this. The navigation screen, as you can see, will take up the entire screen. It also looks fairly nice. Not quite as nice as the Google Earth you get in Audis, but this is really going to be what you expect. I just really love the glass controls in this vehicle. For $600, it's worth every penny. Now, you do need to take note, if you guys get the actual M8 model, the glass controls are not available. BMW replaces it with a metal and leather shifter instead, and you can't get these beautiful glass controls. Now over here on the center console, you can see, opening this up, there are several USB ports. There's one in there, there's one in here, it's a USB-C, there's a good amount of storage. The seats adjust in like 16 different ways. They're heated, they are cooled, and they're massaging. It's part of the comfort package that my tester has. So it finally includes the cooled seats. A lot of BMWs have, again, been guilty of that. The massage function as well works really well in this car. It's just a really nice car, which is what you expect. Now over here with the glove compartment, it's actually a pretty good size. It's damped. It's lined with felt. So overall, I have very little complaints with this interior. It's still one of the nicest cabins in the business. This panoramic sunroof above me is standard equipment, as I said, and adds a lot of natural light. So those of you who buy this car, you're going to be constantly reminded that you have basically the pinnacle of the BMW sedan lineup. So because the Gran Coupe is 9 inches longer than the regular two-door model, obviously BMW had to put the space somewhere. So let's hop into the rear seat. As you can see, there is a fairly decent amount of room here. BMW says you get around 36.5 inches of legroom. That's about 5 inches more legroom than you get in the two-door version. So there is substantially more room, but this ain't no 7 Series. So if you're looking for like basically executive style rear seating position or space, it's just not going to give that to you. Now, surprisingly, there is actually a seat here for a fifth person, a center person, but why would you want to put them here? Because look at this massive center console. You're going to have to straddle this center console here if you're actually going to sit here. So I feel bad for the person who's going to sit in this seat. This one here has the rear comfort seat package. So it has heated back seats, your own set of climate control. There's 2 USB ports, rear seat air vents over here. Surprised there's no cooled back seats here. There is a button over here for it. There's also no rear window. Actually, there is. Let me just start that over. Because it has that rear seat comfort package, there also are some rear window sunshades back here, which is good. It adds to the whole premium ambiance. Now there is also a nice little area here where you could fold this down and gives you a nice pass through, or you could also just pull this down and you have, as you can see here, an armrest with a leather stitched cover. It gives you some storage. There's 2 cup holders over here. So overall, the back seat is definitely much more usable than the two-door versions, and I recommend just splurging for that rear seat comfort package for an extra $800. So I actually have never had a chance to show you guys the new 8 Series. Didn't even get a chance to drive the new 6 Series when it was first out. This car, as I said, essentially replaces the 6 Series Gran Coupe, and it is one of the most gorgeous sedans ever on the market today. I mean, I hate how BMW calls it a Gran Coupe because this is a 4-door sedan. It doesn't even have a liftback body style like the A7. I'm gonna floor it. Go ahead. Holy shit, this thing is so fast. I mean, the M850i with its 4.4 liter twin turbo V8. This thing hides its weight really well, just like the Mercedes AMG GT 4-door that I drove a few months ago when I was in Seattle. This is a car that punches above its weight in terms of handling, in terms of ride. It feels like a much more expensive car than its price would suggest. So this car has all-wheel drive. It's their xDrive all-wheel drive system. We have to try the launch control. Now, BMW says 0 to 60 in around 3.6 seconds. Holy sh... Oh. This thing... Whoa, this thing is fast. It feels more like low 3 seconds. This is bonkers. It's not even the full-on M version, so okay, BMW. This thing weighs a lot, but I wouldn't have guessed that it does because of the way it accelerates now.
Coffee's all over the lid. Oh, she's being me.
Now, just driving down the road in the M850i, you're constantly reminded that this is one of the flagship products in BMW's lineup because of the way you feel when you're sitting in this car. The windshield is a little bit skinny. The hood is predominant. The pillars here are wide. The side mirrors are small. And the noise it makes, it's just sublime. I mean, I will say that, you know, I've been at BMW's testing facility all day today, driving their 6 cylinders. The 8-cylinder has a very nice snarl to it, but it doesn't quite shrill as hard as the 6-cylinder does. This is much more of a muted growl, which kind of fits the character of this car a little bit more. I mean, this is a more, you know, executive type of car. Somebody who is, you know, a CEO of a company is going to want something like this. It competes head-on with that 4-door AMG, the Audi S7. And this is a car that I think is probably one of the best looking. I think it is better looking than the AMG Mercedes 4-door that I drove. In terms of the way it drives, it also feels a little bit smaller and sportier. BMW is always really good with the handling dynamics and the feel of their cars. This 8-speed automatic also is sublime. Oh, it's just so brutal. The acceleration, the G-forces, like the steering feel is actually quite good for a car this size. I mean, BMW, again, has always been criticized for their newer products, and this steering feel in Sport Plus is a little bit better than what I experienced in their previous generation of electric power steering, but overall, I'm flabbergasted. This is a really nice car to drive, and I'm very excited to drive the M8 competition Gran Coupe whenever that comes out. The M8, keep in mind, has like an additional 70 horsepower over this, and it's just phenomenal.
What is Grandma doing over there?
All right, so we have to try the launch control one more time. So simple. Although I will say it doesn't launch quite as hard as some of the competitors because the revs don't build up quite as high. Oh, shit. And my camera guy may have spilled coffee all over himself. Sorry, Rob.
The cup was literally sideways.
It's just a sign that we're in a fast car.
A really fast car.
A really fast car.
Okay, fine.
All right, so to prevent people in the car from spilling coffee anymore, let's go into comfort setting. They'll turn the nannies back on too.
Nope, you called it. I should have dumped more coffee.
I told you should have dumped more coffee out.
I didn't think this was going to launch like an NSX or a GTR.
But in comfort mode, you know, this is it's going to remind you you're in a luxury GT car again. So it's very comfortable. It's very quiet. The engine kind of gets very subdued because the exhaust gets a little bit quieter. The transmission starts to seek, you know, higher gears because it's trying to get the best of fuel efficiency possible. But really, I much prefer this over the 2-door and the convertible that I last drove because I think the 8 Series as a Gran Coupe is the one that really just ticks all the boxes. It's beautiful, it's comfortable, it's fast, it's more practical, and it also attracts a lot of stares everywhere you take it.
Yeah. I wish there was a napkin or something in here.
I already know the title of this video. The M850i will make your passengers spill their coffee.
The first time it wasn't that
So one of the privileges in my line of work has to be driving fancy schmancy cars like this M850i. This car, I expected it to be good, but boy oh boy was I blown away. It is just that good from the engine. The engine is the best part of this car. And this isn't even the full-on M version, 0 to 60 in around the mid-3s. It handles and drives and rides extremely well. You don't expect a car like this that weighs almost 2.5 tons to handle and accelerate as well as this does. And the looks. Jaw-dropping looks. This thing makes my knees go weak every time I look at it. And when you compare it to cars like the Audi A7, the AMG GT 4-door, which is the closest car that I can compare this thing to since I drove it a couple months ago, I think the 8 Series looks better in the Gran Coupe than that Mercedes. I'll have to wait until I drive the new Audi A7 and S7. Those also are all new, but I have to admit, this 8 Series, especially the M850i, definitely lives up to the hype that the original 8 Series had. And honestly, if those of you who can afford the expensive price tag of this car, you're in for one hell of a ride, because the 840i, the base model, actually starts at around $85,000. If you can believe it, the Gran Coupe is actually $3,000 less than the 2-door version. So you get basically a bigger car with more space, and it's actually cheaper. So when are you gonna actually be able to say something like that in a BMW lineup? Now that's for the rear drive 6-cylinder 840i. If you guys want all-wheel drive, X-Drive, it's $3,000 more, so $88,000. This one here, the V8, is about $20,000 more. At a starting price of $109,000, she's an expensive date, but you guys are really going in for a treat. Now, of course, this one has a few options on it. The carbon fiber exterior package, the Bowers & Wilkins sound system, the upgraded comfort seating package, all in this one stickers for about $121,000, which is, I know, it's a lot of freaking money, but look at this thing, drive this thing, and it's easily worth that amount of money. And keep in mind, the Mercedes is easily still about $10,000 more expensive than this BMW 8 Series. So with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on this 2020 BMW M850i Gran Coupe. If you guys are also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.